In this video, we're going to explore two key ideas in op-amps: common mode voltage and the common mode rejection ratio. Stick around because by the end, you'll see why these are absolutely critical when designing differential amplifiers.
Let's begin with the classic difference amplifier. It takes in two inputs, V1 and V2, and produces an output we'll call VO. From the basic circuit analysis, we can show that VO is simply a weighted difference of those two inputs. By carefully selecting the resistor values, we control those weights A and B. That's the magic of the difference amplifier. We've gone step by step through that process in our earlier video on difference amplifiers, so if you haven't seen it yet, check out the link in the description.
If we choose the resistor values so that RF over R1 equals R3 over R2, then the weights A and B become equal. That simplifies things nicely. The output is just RF over R1 multiplied by the difference between V2 and V1.
Now, we usually define the gain of an amplifier as the output voltage divided by the input difference. We'll call this gain A.
In this difference amplifier, the gain A is simply RF over R1.
So the output boils down to one clean rule: the gain times the input difference. That's a key result, and it's exactly where we'll begin building our explanation. Now, let's test this difference amplifier with a simple setup. Suppose we set the inputs so that V2 equals plus half VD over 2 and V1 equals minus VD over 2. It's not too hard to do. We just take two equal voltage sources, connect them in series, and ground the midpoint. That midpoint becomes 0 volts. One side is plus VD over 2, and the other is minus VD over 2. When we hook that into the amplifier and work through the math, the output comes out to be the gain multiplied by VD. Nothing surprising. It's exactly what we saw earlier.
Now, let's change the circuit a little. Instead of grounding the midpoint, we'll hook it up to another voltage source, VCM. We called this the common mode voltage because this voltage is common to both inputs, and that shifts the midpoint away from 0. It's now the midpoint sitting at VCM. With this setup, the inputs become V1 equals VCM minus VD over 2, and V2 equals VCM plus VD over 2. If we run the calculation, the VCM terms cancel out cleanly, and the output is still just the gain times VD. So at first glance, nothing new or interesting seems to be happening.
Let's make this clearer with the graph. Imagine we slowly increase VCM in a straight line. When VCM is 0, the inputs are simply V1 equals minus VD over 2 and V2 equals plus VD over 2. As we raise VCM, both inputs shift upward together. On the graph, you'll see both inputs climbing in parallel. And here's the key. No matter how high they go, the gap between them, V2 minus V1, never changes. That means, ideally, the output should also stay unchanged, always the gain times VD. If we plot the output, it should appear as a perfect flat line. So far, everything looks neat and perfect.
But here's the catch. Even though we expect the output to stay flat, in practice it doesn't. When we actually build the circuit, the output drifts upward as VCM increases. The input difference is still constant, but the output isn't. The bigger the common mode voltage, the larger the deviation becomes. In theory, that common voltage should cancel out completely when we take the difference. But real op-amps aren't perfect. Some of that common mode signal leaks through, and it shows up in the output. This makes our output equation questionable. How can that happen? The simple answer is that reality isn't ideal.
In a real op-amp, the output isn't just the gain times the input difference. It also includes a small portion of the common mode voltage. That's why the actual output often comes out larger than the ideal model predicts. To make this clear, engineers define two types of gain: the differential gain, AD,
applies to the difference input. The common mode gain, ACM, applies to the common mode voltage. So for a practical op-amp, the output can be written precisely as AD times the difference input plus ACM times the common mode voltage. And if you look closely at the output graph, that slow upward drift is coming from the common mode voltage sneaking into the output.
Now let's zoom in on this common mode voltage and understand what it really means. If you take the average of the two inputs, V1 plus V2, divided by 2, you'll find it equals VCM. In other words, the common mode voltage is simply the average of the inputs. That gives us a neat way to picture it. The difference is the gap between the two inputs, while the common mode is the middle ground they both share.
Now let's pull everything together. In an ideal op-amp, the output is exactly what we want, the gain multiplied by the difference between the inputs. Simple, clean, and perfect. But in the real world, things aren't so neat. A practical op-amp doesn't just amplify the difference, it also sneaks in a little bit of the average. In other words, it's amplifying both the difference and the common mode. That small detail is what causes so many headaches in real circuits. It can throw off sensor readings, give misleading results, and even create disturbances in sensitive equipment. And that's the issue we're going to dig into in this video. How do we reduce or eliminate this unwanted effect in our circuits?
Whenever we choose an op-amp IC for a difference amplifier, the datasheet is our best friend. The key question to ask is this op-amp suitable for the input voltage ranges we plan to use? Take the classic LM741 as an example. In its datasheet, you'll find a row labeled Common Mode Rejection Ratio. We'll dig into what that number means in just a minute, but right next to it, there's another important detail, the common mode input voltage range, listed as plus or minus 12 volts. What does that mean in practice? As long as the average of your two inputs, the common mode voltage, stays between negative 12 and positive 12 volts, the amplifier behaves as expected, and you can largely ignore its effect. But if that average drifts outside the allowed range, the output starts responding to the common mode voltage, and the amplifier no longer does the job you want. To measure how well a differential amplifier, whether it's inverting, non-inverting, or a difference amp, can ignore the common mode voltage, engineers use a parameter called the common mode rejection ratio, or CMRR. On the datasheet, you'll usually see two values listed, the minimum CMRR and the typical CMRR, both expressed in decibels. These numbers tell you how good the op-amp is at rejecting unwanted common mode signals, but only when the device is operating within its recommended limits. So what does that actually mean? Let's break it down. In a real differential amplifier, the output has two parts, the differential output and the common mode output. To see how much each part contributes, we measure them separately. First, we find the differential gain, AD. Then we measure the common mode gain, ACM. Once we have both, we simply take the ratio, AD divided by ACM. That's the common mode rejection ratio, or CMRR. If the CMRR is large, it means the amplifier is much better at amplifying the difference than the common mode, so we can safely ignore the common mode effect. But if the CMRR is small, that unwanted common mode voltage starts creeping into the output, and we need smarter ways to deal with it. That's exactly where instrumentation amplifiers come in. They're specially designed to maximize CMRR and block out the common mode junk. We'll dive into those in our next video. Check the link in the description.
Let's see how the common mode rejection ratio is actually measured in practice. Here's our differential amplifier. We'll call the inputs VA for the inverting side and VB for the non-inverting side. From these, we can define two things, the common mode voltage, VCM, and the input difference, VD. For the first experiment, we set both inputs equal to the same value, VCM. That makes the input difference 0.
In this case, the differential term cancels out, and only the common mode term remains. If we measure the output, let's call it VO1, we can calculate the common mode gain as ACM equals VO1 divided by VCM. Now for the second experiment. This time, we adjust the inputs so the common mode voltage cancels out completely. That leaves us with only the differential term. Measure the new output, call it VO2, and we can calculate the differential gain as AD equals VO2 divided by the input difference, VB minus VA. Now that we have both gains, we simply take the ratio, AD over ACM. And that ratio is the common mode rejection ratio of the difference amplifier. You can follow the same method and calculate the CMRR for any op-amp circuit. Most of the time, in op-amp datasheets, the CMRR is given in decibels. It's written in a form that uses 20 as a multiplier. I won't go into why we use this form here, but there is a neat reason behind it. I'll leave that as a challenge. Do a bit of research and share your explanation in the comments below. Take the LM741 as an example. Its datasheet lists the typical CMRR as 95 decibels. If we convert that back into a plain ratio, it comes out to about 56,234. That means, within the recommended operating range, the differential gain is over 56,000 times stronger than the common mode gain. Pretty impressive. But here's the catch. That number applies only to the bare op-amp itself, as it comes out of the chip. Once you start wiring it into a real circuit, like building your own customized differential amplifier, that neat datasheet value no longer holds. In practice, you'll need to measure the CMRR of your actual circuit to know how it really performs.
And that's where we'll wrap up our look at common mode voltage and the common mode rejection ratio. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next video. And if you would like to support our work and help us keep making clear and accessible science content, consider joining us on Patreon. The link is in the description. Every bit of support really helps us keep going. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.